Well, what do you think about? I'm glad that you mentioned about boycotting because I wanted to get your opinion on it. So it's good to hear that. I mean, I'm not sure how in touch you are in terms of like the online social media scene and some of the kind of dais that are in the scene. But you know, I think there's been some. I don't want to name any names specifically, but there's been quite well known.
Are you talking about Rabbi Faris and and Shamsi? I'll name them for you, bro.
What do you think of their stance, which is
And by the
that
way, I don't call him Rabbi Faris. That's what people are calling him, right?
no, I
But
know exactly, of course.
you can imagine the outrage, right? Like even with Shamsi, my comment on the thing is if you're gonna like there's levels, right? It's a spectrum. So someone they feel that I need to do something for Gaza, right? So they say, you know what, I'm gonna boycott. And they're encouraging other people to do that. Alhamdulillah, it's good, right? But then when you got people that say they abstain, they say, you know what, I don't think there's any benefit in this and whatever, and they just abstain, that's fine as well. No one's saying it's wajib upon you, you're forced to do it. But these guys have come to a level where they're mocking people, they're openly making jokes about people boycotting and this kind of stuff. And now the ummah is not going to accept that. Like you're going to expect that if you behave in that manner, that you're going to face repercussions. And that's the reason why Shamsi got attacked on the street. You know, it's because what you're doing is dishonorable. What you're doing is you're making a mockery out of the misfortune of others, right? So your brothers and sisters in Gaza are dying, they're being massacred. People are trying, no matter how pitiful it might be, or no matter how what's the word? No matter how you might think that it's not going to have any benefit, right, or any impact,
Significant. Yeah, yeah.
significant. It might be insignificant in your eyes, but don't mock it. At least have the shame to, like, if you want to abstain, abstain. The Sahaba they had differences, and in certain instances Sahaba abstained, but they weren't mocking the other side. They weren't mocking people. So that's my opinion on it. My opinion on it is, look, I believe that the basic thing is Prophet said in a hadith, "Innamal a'malu binniyat," that verily actions are upon intention. So forget the impact, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to ask you about the impact. And this is why I come back. My key theme is always sacrifice. If you sacrifice this thing, your Starbucks, right, or your Coca-Cola, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is He not going to be pleased with you and reward you? Of course He is. Of course He is. And on Yawm al-Qiyamah, when we are asked, and we're all going to be accountable for what's this genocide that's taking place in Gaza and the fact that we're not able to do anything, right? At least, no matter, it will be something insignificant, but you know what? You can say, Allah, I tried. And in the eyes of Allah, inshallah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this something big and something that, He recognizes and, relieves us of some of our burden on that day, right? Inshallah ta'ala. But this is the thing, right? Is that these people, they will come out with stuff like, oh, look at what the Emirates are doing and they're giving so much aid and all this kind of stuff. To be honest, it's unfortunate. It's very pitiful, but in every community you have Uncle Toms, right? And I think that's a fitting term. Another term that a sister used, I think the sister's name is Mahara Khan. She's currently getting prosecuted in the UK for calling Rishi Sunak and I think it's Swallow Braverman coconuts, right? That's also another, a possible a term that you could use for these people. The fact that they are, cuddling up to people that are complicit in this siege of Gaza, it's shocking. I mean, some of the stuff that they say. I mean, another one of the things that they say, which is in their understanding, in their belief, like as Madkhalism, they would say that we don't accept this terminology, right? But that's what they're commonly referred to, right? They believe that you cannot speak out against the rulers, but the problem is even in that they don't have any consistency. So if you see someone like Shamsi, one of the things that he said is that we can't be critical of any of the rulers. We don't speak out against the Muslim rulers, etc., etc. But then he's critical of the resistance in Palestine. So you can speak out against them rulers. They are the de facto rulers of Palestine. And the reason why he did that is because he said they were holding up images of Qasim Soleimani, right? Qasim Soleimani was the Iranian general. Obviously, he committed massacres in Syria. There's no one better than us that knows that, right? But the point is, you will criticize the Palestinian resistance for holding up images of Soleimani, but you won't criticize Dubai and the Emirates and all of these countries, Saudi Arabia, when they have treaties and they have normalization ties with Israel. Help me understand that one, right? So they would say, yeah, the Prophet ﷺ, he had treaties with the Jews. Yeah, we understand that. But what I'm saying is, be consistent at least, right? So if you're saying that you're going to criticize certain rulers because they have got pictures of Qasim Soleimani, but on the same time you don't use that same measure for Israel, it's a bit strange, right? And this is why you see the rise of the Arab Zionist. This is a phenomenon that we see today. Forget Uncle Tom's. You have open Arab Zionists that are calling to Zionism, Zionism supporting the state of Israel, right? So, I mean, it's clear, man. For them, they will put an Islamic angle on it, but it's clear that they're just following the foreign policy of those Arab countries. And because they have an adversity to Iran, because Iran is an enemy, we are happy to criticize them. But if it's anyone else, no, we're gonna stay within our, we won't say anything. And whatever they say, whatever they do, even if Mohammed bin Salman brings alcohol to Saudi Arabia, even if he has a swimsuit competition, whatever he does, we will not say a word.
Yeah. And I think just going back to what you were saying about having that ghira, having that shame, and just doing like a small act. I mean, I think that's what came to mind. You mentioned sacrifice as well. What came to my mind was Ibrahim alayhi salam when he felt like, look, what do you mean call people to Mecca? What do you mean call people to your house, ya Allah? Like who's gonna come? Who's gonna hear me? Who's gonna listen to me? Allah said, look, you just need to do what you like. You just need to do your job. You do your part.
Right.
Leave the rest to me. Right. And obviously Allah says in the Quran that He'll never change the condition of a people unless they change what's within themselves. So it's these small little acts of saying no to a can of Coke, saying no to a fillet of fish, and just making these very small. It sounds like a joke what I'm saying. Saying no to a can of Coke or saying no to a burger, but in reality that's all it is, right? You have so many more options that you can go to, but why would you choose to go this? And I completely agree with you. And I said the same thing to Shamsi directly. Shamsi and I had a little debate about this online, which was it's one thing to have an opinion that boycotting is not permissible, but it's another thing to then actually promote it and double down and start like making fun of people who are trying to do this, right?
Let's see if he does it again. I don't think he'll do it again because he got smacked up. I don't think he's going to start mocking people again. It's one of those things, innit? Like, I don't want to use crude language, innit? But mess around, you find out, innit? And that's what happens. It's stupid. Like, it's dumb. Like why would you it's like a lot of non-Muslims, right? And this is why a lot of people are coming to Islam, is because they see that Muslims have this ghira. When someone insults the Prophet ﷺ, Muslims are not going to have it. Like even me, if I was a non-Muslim, I would be like, why am I going to insult their Prophet? It's just going to cause me problems. It makes no sense, right? So similarly, like when you're doing these things, right, as a Muslim within your own community, you're antagonizing the community. It makes no sense. Like you're just bringing problems on yourself. Like you're not making a point. If you want to abstain and you believe that, great. But mocking it is not gonna do you any favors.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. I think this has been just kind of trying to gain some sort of perspective and some sort of understanding as to why Allah is allowing this to happen. I think one of the reasons that we can kind of see is when if you get into a fight, right? If you get into a fight and you're with a few of your friends and none of your friends jump in, you know who your friends are, right? And I think that's one of the things that this has shown, right? Is who's there to help the ummah, right? So it's been a big eye opener that very, very few people are willing to actually stand up for the ummah. That we all claim, that we all say, you know, mashallah, we all say these big speeches that all of these leaders do on stages. The reality is that they're not going to take action